What's going on, guys, and welcome to Diode Expedition. We just installed this bed light kit from Diode Dynamics on our 3rd gen Tundra. We're gonna be making a massive improvement here on the bed lighting. Diode Dynamics makes this install very simple with plug and play harnesses, and it simply bolts right to the factory bed rails on your Tundra. Stay tuned, we're gonna show you how to get it done. All right, so we have everything on the tailgate of the Tundra. We're gonna need to get this kit installed. We have a drill with a step bit. We're gonna have to drill some holes to 5/8 of an inch. We have a ratchet with a T30 Torx socket. We have a trim prying tool that we got from Diode. And then we have a flathead screwdriver and a 5/32 Allen wrench. That's gonna be all the tools that we need to get this install done. And then going over the kit from Diode, we have our T-nuts, which are gonna be sliding down the rails of our bed. We have 4 of those. We have the bolts to get the lights mounted to those T-nuts. Obviously, we have our 4 lights. These are available in some different colors. If you want clear lens, amber lens, red, green, blue, you can pick whatever you want. And then we have our switches here. So you have 2 different options. You have a low output and a high output. So these lights have 2 different options of brightness. So that's nice. You can choose with this switch what brightness you want. These are gonna plug right into the factory lights on the side of your Tundra bed. And then our new harness is gonna plug into this as well. And right here we have those harnesses. So we have 4 individual harnesses, 1 to run to each light. So now that we went over everything, we are ready to get into the install. I want to note that this Tundra did have a tonneau cover on it. We removed it to make this install a little bit easier. So if you do have one of those installed on your Tundra, I would suggest removing that first. So now that we have the cover removed, we're going to go ahead and start with removing these rails here on the side of our Tundra. So we have those, we have that T30 socket. There's going to be multiple T30 screws in here. We're going to go ahead and remove those and pull these off. So as you can see, we have a total of 6 bolts along here. We're going to go ahead and remove all of those. So now that we have the 6 bolts removed, there is a locating pin here that you need to slide the rail forward to get it off, and then you can go ahead and fully remove the rail from the side of your bed. Now we're going to take that prying tool and we're going to go ahead and pop that out. Just go ahead and do the same thing here on the other side of the bed. So now that we have both of the rails off the bed, we can go ahead and drill the holes out. So we have our drill, we have our step bit, and where that pin was that we popped out, that's where we're gonna be drilling our hole. So we'll go ahead and drill our hole to 5/8 of an inch, both on this side and on the other side, and that's where our wires are gonna run through for our lights. So with our holes drilled, we can go ahead now and pop out the OEM light. So we're just gonna take it and push it just like that. You'll have this clip here that's gonna have to get depressed in order for it to come out, and then we can go ahead and unplug the light. Our new harness is gonna be plugging into this and then plugging back into our factory light. So right here we have our new harness from Diode with our switch on it. One end is gonna go back onto our factory light. The other end is going to go into the other side of our factory plug, And then we have the two ends here. That's going to be operating both lights on this side of our bed. And then once we have those wires fed through this hole and plugged into here, we can zip tie this up, tuck it inside, determine which setting we want the lights to be on, and then we can put our factory light back in place. So we're going to take two of our harnesses for the bed lights. We're going to get the wire fed through here, and then just keep feeding it until you see it, and we'll pull it through. We'll get one end plugged in here. Wow, all right. These are a very watertight plug. Make sure the wire that you're feeding through the bedside is the appropriate one to meet up with this. Feed our second one through. So now that we have both of those wires on, we're gonna just take some of the zip ties that are included. We're gonna get this zip tied on here so that it's not moving all over the place on the inside of the bed. We'll go ahead and cut off these zip ties, and then we can tuck that in there and get this reinstalled. Next up, we're gonna take the bed rail and that bigger hole where that pin locked in place. That's where we're gonna be feeding our wires through. So we'll go and get both of our wires fed through that hole. And then we'll pull this tight and get the bed rail reattached to the side of the bedside. So we got our wires fed through, we have our bed rail reattached to the bedside, and now we can take two of the T-nuts that are provided, and we're gonna go ahead and slide those down and get them positioned where we want our lights. So you have this little cap here on the end of the bed. We'll just go ahead and simply pop that out, and then we can take our T-nut, get it inserted into the bed rail, and then we'll get this slid down to where we want our light. So we got this T-nut in for our backlight, and then because these wires are already in here, we can't fit the T-nut past the wire, so we'll just take that cap off on the other end of our rail, and then we'll slide this one in from down there. All right, so we have both T-nuts in our rail. I just want to note, if you look on the inside of the rail, you can see there are little cutouts. You want to make sure that when you're positioning your T-nuts that the T-nut is not where those cutouts are. So just put it in between. So now we can take one of our lights here, and we're going to take the flathead screwdriver. On the very side of the lens, there's little spots where you can put this flathead. So we're just going to put that in there and twist, and that will pop the lens off like so. And then on the center, there's a rubber plug. We're going to go ahead and remove that. And that's where the bolt is going to go to hold this in place. So we're going to take one of the bolts and washers that's provided. I'm going to drop that down into the hole, and then we can go ahead and get this threaded onto our T-nut. We're going to orientate the light so that the wire is tucked inside this channel. Go ahead and put our plug back in, and we can put our cover back on. Like that. So let's go ahead and mount the other light. So now with both of our lights mounted to the rail, we'll go ahead and get the wires connected. All right, so we have this one hooked up. If you want, where each one of these heads are for the screws, there's a hole on the bottom. So you can put some zip ties in there, and you can hold this nice and tight to the bed rail. Go ahead and hook the other light up. And then what we'll do is we'll pop out this factory light, and we'll pull all this excess back into the bedside. Or you can just feed it through like this. All right, so we have everything wrapped up on the driver's side. I'm gonna go ahead now to the passenger side. I'm gonna get that side all wrapped up, and then we'll show you the final product and how they look.
how easy it is to get out. Okay.
Oh,
Nope.
that's high.
One's high. So we got both sides fully installed. We're ready to turn these things on and see how they are. But before that, I do want to mention, if you have like these factory tie downs for your bedsides, these are still going to fit, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you do need something where you're actually sliding the T-nut in, the wire is going to get in the way. So these are going to be your only option when it comes to tie downs. So with that being said, let's go ahead and turn these things on and see how bright they are. As you can see, these lights from Diode are massively brighter than your OEM ones. We currently have these set to the higher setting. So if you look at that switch, there is a 1 and a 2. 1's going to be the bright setting, 2 is going to be the dimmer setting. And even with the dimmer setting, that is way brighter than your factory ones. One thing that this is going to be great for instance, this Tundra has a tonneau cover on it, and the lights that are above the bed obviously are not going to be shining into the bed because they are covered up. So with this kit, you're going to have a massive amount of light now in the bed of your truck. All right, guys, that's gonna be a wrap on the bed light kit for the 3rd Gen Tundra from Diode Dynamics. If you have any questions about this install, make sure to ask us down below in the comments. And if you wanna pick one of these up for your Tundra, click the link in the description or head over to yodaexpedition.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one.